Marcelo Bielsa and Daniel Farke are both significant parts of recent Leeds United's identity, culture, history, everything. They are huge aspects of us pushing for escape from the Championship. Bielsa succeeded. Daniel Farke is hopefully en route to doing so, and they've both had a massive impact on the club. But I had a little bit of a question for myself, and it's which of the promotion candidates are the better team? And if you were to make a combined 11 of both teams squished together, what would you do? First up, I gave myself some rules. I'm taking the players as they were at the time. You have to have Ben White as he was in that Leeds United Championship team, rather than sticking him at right back, because that's something he can do now. In addition to that, it has to be in a 4-2-3-1 shape. This is the one that Daniel Farke is using. I figured I'd get you guys involved in this one, and I did a community poll. I asked, did you prefer Marcelo Bielsa's 4-1-4-1 or Daniel Farke's 4-2-3-1? 77 votes, 57% of people said Daniel Farke. So you guys voted on this, not me. It has to be in the 4-2-3-1. And I'm going to be making these decisions as I'm talking. I've not prepared it fully in advance other than just the banners I'm going to put up. So there will be no changing my mind once I put together the team. So let's get into it. And first up, we need to talk about the goalkeeper situation. There are two choices to choose from here, and I think this is probably the easiest choice of the lot. Illan Meslier or Kiko Casilla. Kiko Casilla had some howlers in him consistently. In addition to, was it alleged or was it actual, the racism incident that saw him banned and saw Illan Meslier not only sneak into the team, but retain that spot for the long term. I don't see a world in which you don't pick Illan Meslier in this position. And even if you are the most avid of Illan Meslier haters, you have to admit that of this choice, clearly the best. Illan Meslier goes in net for me. Now, right back is the first of many, many, many quite difficult decisions. Two to choose from. Archie Gray, Luke Ayling. I've also said that each player can only be potentially picked for one position, and I'm going for basically the teams at the height of their strength. And that means that I need to choose between Archie and Luke Ayling, and this is a Luke Ayling that was absolutely spectacular. That promotion season, you can't forget the amount of stuff that he did for that Leeds United team. I'm just going to skip back and have a quick look at some stats that I've brought up. But they're very, very nice for Luke Ayling, who managed to get himself 4 goals, 4 assists. I just think in an attacking sense, he brings a lot more than Archie Gray does today, and he did back at the time, especially so. And he really thrived under Marcelo Bielsa. In Daniel Farke's system, that wasn't necessarily the case, but that's because I think he lost a little bit of pace from his legs by the time he was playing under Daniel Farke. I think I've got to say that I probably picked Luke Ayling from this one. Sorry, Archie, you are firmly the best player on the bench at this point, at the very least. But things are going to get a lot trickier because then we need to talk about the right centre-back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right centre-back and left centre-back rather than just picking 2 centre-backs from the bunch, because both Farke and Bielsa liked a right footer on the right and a left footer on the left. And the right centre-back position is really tricky. Joe Rodon or Ben White. They are both loanees from not London clubs. He was on loan from Brighton. They're both loanees from Premier League clubs, and it's not an easy choice to make. Ben White had this calm Rolls Royce-ness about him, where he'd just be able to put the ball wherever he wanted it, make tackles with ease, and just look comfortable. Whereas Joe Rodon always looks like he's going through the walls. And you know what? I think that's what this side needs. This side needs someone that can lead a backline. And I feel like if you took Ben White back in the Championship days and you put a young centre-back next to him, if you put a Charlie Cresswell next to him, they'd fall apart a little bit. Whereas Joe Rodon has that defensive general aspect to him. And I think that's what this side really needs. And then we get to left centre-back. And then we get quite a difficult choice. We get a choice between Liam Cooper and Ethan Ampadu. The back lines of these sides were absolutely incredible. And it's really, really tricky to pick for this one as well. You're choosing between Ethan Ampadu, who is technically more of a midfielder, but throughout Leeds' best period, without a doubt, a record-breaking run of wins he's played at centre-back, so I've picked him there, to go up against Liam Cooper, who was the captain at the time, still is the club captain, but hasn't managed to force his way into the side. It's not an easy one to choose. Again, it's almost impossible. And I think there's only one statistic that is going to sort of decide this, because we are talking about centre-back, and I am looking over because I need to make sure I've checked out some stats. But it's the way that the two different sides both defended. And the 1920 side, across 36 games, conceded 35 times. 0.76 a match, we've conceded 28, 0.74 a match. It's really, really tight between the two. But I think I'm going to go with Ethan Ampadu, just to keep that defensive pairing as settled as it can be. And even on XG, we've looked a little bit better this season, and I think that's what I'm going to go with. And then we get to left back, and this is another very tricky decision, and it's not just between two people. It's between three, one of whom I love deeply and dearly. We have Junior Firpo, we have Stuart Dallas, we have Yanni Alioski. All three players I absolutely adore on a deep, fundamental level because they're really fun players. They're great. They really understand all about Leeds United. And Junior Firpo this season has been absolutely excellent, but as much as I love him, I'm going to do what you guys don't expect. I'm going to not say Junior Firpo. It's between Dallas and Alioski, and I think Alioski has that little tendency to be a little bit too daft, get a little bit lost. And Stuart Dallas, it might be the fond memories of when he helped us to beat Manchester City, and that's not the season that we're talking about, but he still had that in him. This was the season he went from squad player to fundamental part of the team, and I think I'm definitely putting him in at left back because he brings a combined attack, defence, balance. He's just a more balanced left back than Firpo, than Alioski, and it just sort of works for me. And now we have to hop into holding midfield, and I thought this would be a lot more difficult to pick than it is. Calvin Phillips versus Ilya Gruev. Ilya Gruev has been fantastic, but Calvin Phillips, off the back of this championship season, found his way into the England squad. I think that's all you need to know. Calvin Phillips in this season was so good, unstoppably just Rolls-Royce-y, efficient, knew what he was doing every single step of the way, and I don't think he's droppable. If you watched Calvin Phillips at this point, you would understand why this isn't a question. And although I think there's a world in which you can squeeze them together in the same midfield, I don't think that's a world that works. I don't think they balance each other right because they're both holding midfielders, and I think you need a progressive midfielder next to them. This is how I phrased it. One of them to pass the ball forwards and sort of be that conduit, one of them to sort of protect the defence a little bit more. And this is a choice between Mateusz Klich and Glenn Kamara. I think I got to go with Klich. Off the top of my head, if I remember right, Mateusz Klich was on something like a 92-match starting streak. That's how fundamental he was to the Bielsa side because he ran and he didn't stop running. He was this unstoppable machine of a player. I don't think Mateusz Klich is droppable in the slightest. I like Glenn Kamara. I like what he does. I like the calmness of him receiving the ball and laying it off. But you can't forget the fact that Mateusz Klich was someone that would just run the match. I think it was Phil Hay that said, if you watch the ball, you barely see Mateusz Klich. If you watch Mateusz Klich, you see the whole game. And I think that's a perfect reason to pick him. Now, we have a choice that I don't want to get to. I really don't want to make this decision. Pablo Hernandez or Jorginho Rutter? And it's not an easy one. Because Jorginho Rutter this season has proven exactly why Leeds United signed him. He cost a lot of money. There is no getting away from that one. He was a very, very expensive player. But this season so far, he's really come out of his shell. He's started to be more creative. He's gotten, I've just had a quick look at the stats, 22 goal involvements this season, 16 assists. Those are insane numbers. Those are crazy. I'm going to have a quick look at Pablo Hernandez's numbers at the same time because okay. 9 goals, 9 assists. They play different roles. That's without a question. And Rutter played a lot more football than Pablo Hernandez, also without a question. But this is where you got to make a tough decision. And whilst Pablo Hernandez, everyone said that he had an eye for a pass that no one else had, I think Rutter has that as well. The number of times we've seen him play big switches all the way across the pitch that no one else would have seen that have created an opportunity, or he's found the perfectly weighted through ball for someone else. He might not be able to finish a chance, and that's not good. Without a doubt, that isn't ideal. But the number of chances he puts on plates for other people, I don't think is something that you can take out of the squad. So a lot of people might disagree on this one, and that's fair enough. I understand it, but for this one, I'm going to go Jorginho Rutter, although I want to know what you think in the comments down below. Also, drop a like and subscribe whilst you're down there. It's just nice, isn't it? Anyway, after the stress of deciding a number 10, we've got a really easy decision like the right wing. Oh, no. And we have 3 options for this one, and again, it's one where one of the seasons takes itself out of consideration. This time, I'm going to take the Bielsa season out of consideration. Unlike where Firpo was just not really in the question for left back, I don't think Helder Costa's in the conversation over right wing. Dan James and Willie Gnonto are both on obscene runs at the moment. Willie Gnonto's run of form at the moment is something that is filthy. If he'd been like this since the very start of the season, he'd be matching Somerville for goal numbers. Dan James, whenever he gets minutes, is doing the exact same thing. And you need to make a choice between the two, which is not very easy to do. Earlier on, I said that we'll judge it on the 10-game winning streak, and I think I'm going to do the same here. I think I'm going to settle for Willie Gnonto with Dan James off the bench. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with, because Willie Gnonto, I feel like, is currently on form where a defender will just despise playing against him. They don't know how to play against him. Dan James, you know how to play against. You just don't have the pace to deal with it. So you can, in theory, do something about it. Willie Gnonto, nightmare. So he makes the team. And then we have the question of the striker, and this question sort of answers itself, doesn't it? Patrick Bamford started for Bielsa. Patrick Bamford starts for Daniel Farke. The only other questions are really Eddie Nketiah. Was recalled by Arsenal. Didn't have that much of an impact at the end of the day. Scored plenty. That's all well and good. He scored 3 times. All of them quite big parts of big games. But then he left. And Joel Piroe, he's played more primarily as a number 10, at least until Patrick Bamford came into the side and basically taught Daniel Farke that don't play him as a number 10, but also play Patrick Bamford instead. Both managers have picked Patrick Bamford over Nketiah, over Piroe. It would be foolish to do anything but that. At left wing, there's a good question. Crescencio Somerville versus Jack Harrison. I've just had a look at the numbers. It's less of a good question. Between goals and assists, Jack Harrison in the promotion season got himself 14. 8 assists, 6 goals. Pretty good return. Not too bad. Does something different to Somerville as well. Somerville's way of playing is a cut inside and take a shot kind of way of playing. Jack Harrison is more of a whip in crosses, create opportunities for other people. Yes, occasionally they'll score a few goals, but less so than Crescencio Somerville. Somerville, having just looked at the numbers, already has the same amount of assists as Jack Harrison did and has more than doubled the goals he scored. I think you got to go with Somerville. So, breaking down the final team. Ignore that. Illan Meslier goes in goal with Luke Ayling playing at right back. Centre backs, I have gone with Joe Rodon and Ethan Ampadu, purely based on the fact that they're a strong partnership and work well together. Left back, Stuart Dallas. He had to find a way in, didn't he? Holding midfield, I've gone with Calvin Phillips, playing alongside Mateusz Klich, getting that pairing back together. Spectacular. With Jorginho Rutter playing at number 10. That might be the one that everyone disagrees with. On the right wing, I'm going with Willie Gnonto, Patrick Bamford in the middle, and Crescencio Somerville on the left wing. For the manager, that might have to be a conversation for a different time. Although, sod it, I'll say it's your guys' fault. I'm going to go with the poll that said 57% saying Daniel Farke. Let me know what you think in the comments below, though. I'm really interested in this one. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't yet. It's massively appreciated. Even become a channel member. It's something like $149 or $199 a month. Just massively appreciated, innit? Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you later. People are not going to like the Pablo Hernandez choice. I can already feel that one coming. Oh dear.